Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Escaping the Build Trap: How Effective Product Management Creates Real Value, by Melissa Perri. Narrated by Erin Deward. Publisher's Note: This audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type Escaping the Build Trap into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page, then, under the Supplemental Content section, please enter the access code ESCAPE, and then click the Unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. All figures, tables, and illustrations referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Preface. The point is, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect it to keep working. We had to do something different, but the really hard question was, what is it? We made plenty of mistakes along the way to answering that question, but the most important thing we identified was that we needed to know more about our customers and what problems they were really trying to solve in their businesses, even if they didn't neatly fit into an existing category of ours. Michael Dell. This book is for every product person. It's for the senior in college who wants to be a product manager but doesn't quite understand the full landscape of the job. It's for the first-time product manager who was thrown into the fray and is looking for guidance. It's for the product manager just promoted to VP who needs a guide to set up their organization so that it scales successfully. It's for the leaders of large organizations who are looking to obtain that competitive advantage. About a decade ago, I was working as a product manager in an e-commerce company, chugging along, writing large requirement documents, shipping them to developers, and, frankly, thinking that I was the bomb. A much-needed dose of reality was thrown in my face when we began measuring the success of our products. I soon learned that my products were crap, and no one was using them. That was my first realization that I was in what I now call the build trap. I was so focused on shipping features and developing as many cool ideas, but mostly my own ideas, as I could, that I didn't even think about the outcome of those features. I wasn't connecting the goals of my company or the needs of my users back to my work. I wanted to get better. I wanted to create better products. At that time, the lean startup movement was taking shape, and I learned about experimentation. An engineer by background, this spoke to me. You mean I can test things in my work, just like science? I can use data to inform decisions. Sign me up, I thought. I eagerly applied all the things I learned to my job as a product manager. I started seeing traction on my features. I began working with my team better. Together, we became a lean, mean experimentation machine. And it worked. Our products became better. That experience inspired me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted more chances to implement these ways of working. I became a kid in a candy shop, soaking up every process and framework that would make me a better product manager. A few years later, I began getting invited to share my experiences at conferences. I loved being able to talk about what I learned and how it helped me. I soon realized it was helping other people too. More and more product managers, leaders, and designers came to me for advice. Eventually, in 2014, I became a consultant. For the past few years, I've been brought in to teach product managers this systematic way of working. Our product managers are stuck, the executives would tell me. They need to learn how to talk to customers and think experimentally. The product managers I worked with were eager to learn, usually transferring in from another part of the company with no prior experience. They readily adopted the techniques, so excited to have a framework. I was thrilled. Helping people, seeing them get better, I found my calling, developing the future of product management. I started writing Escaping the Build Trap 2 years ago for those very product managers. I wanted to help them become better. But that evolved. I never intended to take 2 years to write this book. It was supposed to be a 3-month process. But as I was nearing the end of my first draft, I was also checking back in with the product managers I had been teaching. A pattern had emerged. They had slipped back into old habits. "Why are you not talking to users? Why did you stop experimenting?" I asked. They cited a bunch of systemic problems. "My bonus is tied to the features we ship. I need to get those out because it's getting close to the end of the year," I heard at one company. My manager was getting upset because we were not shipping. We were doing user research, but they couldn't see the value in it. "I had to get something out the door or I'd get in trouble," said another. I soon realized it was not just the product managers that were stuck in the build trap, but the entire organization. Solving the processes for the team was not enough. It was about setting up the entire company to support good product management. So, I began rewriting this book to focus on the product-led organization. Then, I was invited to lead a few large-scale product transformations at multi-billion-dollar companies. I advised the C-suite on becoming product-led, again eager to implement what I had learned. Little did I know how much I would learn through those experiences in return. The version of Escaping the Build Trap you're about to listen to is the 4th rewrite of this book in 3 years. It is a culmination of what I've learned about how roles, strategy, process, and organizational dynamics affect the value that a company can deliver. This book is a guide to getting out of the build trap with great product management. We look at what it means to become and be a product-led organization, figure P1, which involves 4 key components. Creating a product manager role with the right responsibilities and structure, enabling those product managers with a strategy that promotes good decision-making, understanding the process of determining what product to build through experimentation and optimization, supporting everyone with the right organizational policies, culture, and rewards to allow product management to thrive. Throughout this book, you will hear about a company called Marketly. Although Marketly is a fictitious company, its stories are based in reality, either from my own experiences as a full-time product manager or those of the companies I have worked with. You will follow Marketly on its journey of escaping the build trap to become a product-led organization. If you want to see how your company measures up to being product-led, check out the last section of this book for a little quiz. I've worn many hats in the past 10 years. Product manager, UX designer, developer, CEO, entrepreneur, consultant, advisor, teacher, and student. The most important role to me has been that last one, student. The amount I've learned and continue to learn along the way humbles me. I'm happy to share what I know in this book, but I know there's still much to learn. I hope this book helps you find some guidance in an area that can sometimes feel overwhelming. I encourage you to keep learning, keep experimenting, keep getting better. Your customers are depending on you. If you're interested in learning more about product management, check out our online school, Product Institute. We are continuously developing courses to help every product manager, from team member to executive. I'm also excited to embark on a new partnership with Insight Venture Partners and Perri to develop the next generation of Chief Product Officers at Products Labs. The future is exciting for this field. Thanks for listening. Melissa Perri, CEO, Products Labs. Acknowledgements. Writing this book was the most difficult undertaking of my career so far. It was a long, taxing journey that would not have been possible without the vast support of my family, friends, and colleagues. A lot of thanks are in order. A special thank you to my team at Products Labs and to my students at Product Institute. You are the reason I get up in the morning, knowing that we are building the future of product management together. To Perri of Insight Venture Partners for your partnership, mentorship, and support. To Casey Cancellieri for reviewing 4 versions of this book over the past 2 years, helping to shape where it is today. To my publisher, O'Reilly, and editor, Angela Ruffino, your patience and guidance through this process has been exceptional. To my editor, Bridget Sandberg, for getting me to the finish line. I've learned so much about writing from you. This would not have been possible without your help. I benefited from some very generous early and last-minute reviewers of this book. Thank you, Giff Constable, Adrian Howard, Lane Goldstone, John Cutler, Simon Bennett, Dave Masters, Kate Gray, Blair Reeves, David Zvinich, Ellen Chisa, Jeremy Horn, Ryan Harper, Dave Pink, and Francis Close. To those in the product management, UX design, agile, lean startup, and lean fields from whom I have learned so much in the past years, thank you for the in-depth conversations. Thank you for challenging my preconceived notions. Thank you for exposing me to other ways of working. Thank you for your support. To my book club friends who met with me every week for 2 years to swap ideas, provide feedback, and sometimes a much-needed venting space. To David Bland and Barry O'Reilly, I would never have finished this without you. Thank you for keeping me sane. And finally, I want to thank my family, because without them, I would not be where I am today. They told a little girl it was possible to be like Bill Gates when she grew up. They encouraged her to wander around telling everyone that she would be a computer engineer one day. They still watch all her talks from conferences and cheer her on every step of the way. Thank you to my parents, Joanne and Salvatore, and my sister Jenny. You are my everything. Part 1. The Build Trap. The build trap is when organizations become stuck measuring their success by outputs rather than outcomes. It's when they focus more on shipping and developing features rather than on the actual value those things produce. When companies stop producing real value for the users, they begin to lose market share, allowing them to be disrupted. Companies can get out of the build trap by setting themselves up to develop intentional and robust product management practices. At that point, product managers can find the opportunities to maximize business and customer value. Chris, your problem isn't just your product managers, I said. They're definitely green, and you're going to have to hire some more senior people, but you have process, strategy, and organizational issues as well that are preventing you from hitting your goals. The CEO of Marketly, Chris, had called me to talk frankly about the state of Marketly, an education company that provides online training for marketers. Experts in digital marketing, Marketly professionals create classes through their online platform that any individual can take for a monthly subscription. 6 months earlier, Chris had hired me to train and coach the company's product managers. Marketly was growing rapidly, with revenue growth year over year holding steady around 30%. The company hired hundreds of people in a very short amount of time, assigning them to all sorts of projects. Many of those people were developers, and they soon learned they needed product managers to work with them after adopting an agile framework called Scrum. They moved marketing people, individuals with no prior experience in product management, into that role to work with the developers because they knew the audience for the school best. Marketly's story was similar to those of other companies I had advised, and I knew that the issues were probably deeper than just skill-based. When I came into the company, I met with its VP of Product, Erin. She had been hired 3 months earlier to oversee the dozens of new product managers. "I'm under a ridiculous amount of pressure," Erin told me. "The sales team has promised all of these features to enterprise clients. We've never serviced people in that market before, and now we have to build everything from scratch. I have 20 direct reports and a bunch of deadlines to hit. I have no time to be strategic at all." The sales teams were frustrated as well and felt backed into a corner. "We need roadmaps. No one gives us anything to sell. This is how I make my money. I'm only out there promising things because the product teams aren't giving me anything," the head of sales told me. The entire organization was at a standoff, with everyone pointing fingers at one another. All of them cited the lack of product management skills as the problem. "If only our product managers had deeper backlogs," the CTO lamented. "We would be set. We need them to start thinking of more solutions." So I got to work with the product managers. I assessed their skills early on, watched them interact with their development and design teams, and gave them new frameworks to try. After about a month and a half, I had to break it to Chris that he needed to hire more experienced people if he wanted to succeed. "Erin cannot be the only leader they're learning from," I explained. "She has no time to mentor and coach dozens of people. If you want to grow the junior people, you will have to move some of these people back to the content division and hire real product managers." No, we can train them," he told me. "We can't hire a ton of new people. Just keep teaching them. Hire another coach if we need to." I continued on with the training and brought in another coach to help. Many of the product managers were excited for the frameworks and the guidance. They readily adopted them, and, with some, we saw glimpses of early success in the way they approached problems and thought about their work. But that momentum was short-lived. When the teams did not have anything to ship by the 3rd month, the leadership team became incensed. "They're not doing their jobs," said the CEO. "We need to ship more features. Why are they not prioritizing better?" All fingers pointed back to bad product management, but that wasn't the actual problem. The company was running in too many directions. At one point, there were 20 major projects in progress. When I say major, I really mean major. A new mobile app was being developed, along with a new back-end system for the teachers to monitor their classes. These were large undertakings meant for multiple teams, but only one product manager, and a junior one at that, and one development team were assigned to each. They tried all they could to meet their deadlines while practicing great product management techniques, but they were not set up for success. Deadlines had been set before I had come in. The different projects were committed to customers in their contracts. Whenever I suggested that we evaluate whether we should really be building a certain feature, there was a considerable amount of pushback from the product managers. "Leadership told me to do this. I have to ship this or I won't get my bonus." they were handicapped by poor planning and poor strategy. At the same time, Marketly's revenue growth was declining, and the board was starting to pressure management. More mandates for features started trickling down to the teams. Karen tried all she could to push back, but the leaders were still insistent. "You don't understand. If we don't build these features, if we don't show the board we can ship, we will not be able to raise another round of funding," said the CEO. Soon the product managers reverted to their old ways. They skipped the user research that they had been so steadily doing. It took time away from them writing up user stories for the development team. They all began focusing on getting as many features as possible out the door. When the next release rolled around the following month, they had about 10 new features to put out to customers. The leadership team was ecstatic. "That's what I'm talking about. This is good product management." The CTO applauded them heartily at the review session. The next week, they shipped the features. Then the calls began pouring in. The site was breaking because the features they rushed to launch were not well tested. Teachers were frustrated because there was so much new functionality that got in the way of them trying to accomplish their most important tasks, creating courses and responding to student comments. Many of the teachers decided to take their courses down, and the account managers were left scrambling to bring them back. A few weeks later, we checked in on the adoption of the features on the student side. Nothing. No one was using them. All that work, all those features, and Marketly was still in the same place. Its revenue growth was declining, and the company was feeling the heat. The problem wasn't any single person or department's fault. The organization itself was not set up to succeed, which is what I was explaining to Chris during that meeting. "I don't understand. How do other organizations succeed?" he asked. "How do they come back from this? What are we doing wrong?" "It's not just about the skills of your product managers," I explained. Some of them were doing well and adopting the right mindset. They were really trying to figure out how to deliver value, and had they been given the room to keep going that route, they would have succeeded. But you have so many organizational issues that are preventing them from succeeding. "Like what?" he asked. "What can we improve?" "Tell me, what is the most important thing you can achieve today?" I asked him. "Revenue growth," he answered easily. "We need it to get back to 30% year over year at least." When I asked others in the company, they did not give me that answer, I told him. He looked a bit shocked. "Your CTO said the most important thing was the mobile strategy. When I asked why, he cited a board member. When I asked Karen what the most important thing was, she said acquiring more teachers on the teacher platform. When I asked the sales leader, he said getting more enterprise clients. No one is tying it back to your goal, the revenue. You are not aligned." I continued. "A lot of it is due to having too many priorities. Everything is number one on your project list. You are peanut buttering your strategy, meaning that you have so many strategic initiatives spread over very few people. You can't give one team a large objective and expect them to hit major goals in a month. Those things take time and manpower. You have to build up to them." "But what about our product managers?" he asked. "Surely they should be pushing back on this. So should my other leaders. If they don't think these are the right things to do, I want to hear it." Your company is not set up for that type of feedback. People are afraid to talk with you or their managers. You tie people's bonuses to shipping software, not to solving problems. They think they have to ship or they won't get paid, I said. Also, you have the wrong people in the product management role, I continued. They don't know how to find the right solutions that will increase your revenue. They're marketers, not product managers. You need to build up a proper product management organization that can explore how to achieve value for the business. This is a specialized skill set. Chris looked like he was at the end of his rope, but pretty much ready for anything. So, what do I do? The company needs to succeed, Melissa. What can I do to fix this? You're stuck in the build trap, Chris. To get out, you need to change the way you approach software development, both as a company and as a leader. You have to become product-led. That involves shifting the entire mentality of the organization from delivering to achieving outcomes. You will have to change your structure, your strategy, and not only the way you work, but also the policies and rewards governing it. He looked overwhelmed. Are you ready for this amount of change? It won't be easy, but it's 100% possible, I said. We can't keep going the way we are, or we'll go out of business, he said. I'll do it. And so we began. Marketly was a classic case of a company stuck in the build trap. The problem wasn't that it did not have a great idea or a great product, but that the company itself was not set up to keep growing that product to succeed. The organization was missing the roles, strategy, process, and policies needed to really promote and sustain real value creation. The build trap is a terrifying place for companies because it distracts them. Everyone is so focused on shipping more software that they lose sight of what is important: producing value for customers, hitting business goals, and innovating against competitors. When we lose sight of what is important, when we forget what value means, the products we produce, and sometimes our companies themselves, fail. This has happened to organizations large and small. Kodak failed to see digital photography disrupting it. Instead of responding to the change, it doubled down on how it always did things. When the company tried to innovate, which I talk about at the end of this book, it was not set up structurally to do so. It was too little too late. Microsoft, although not in danger of failing immediately, was on the path to disruption. It had been using the same strategic recipe over and over again, counting on Windows to carry its business, until CEO Satya Nadella came in. He realigned the company to a future strategy that would see it continue innovating and then adjusted the people working on those activities accordingly. The build trap isn't just about shipping software. It's about realizing you have to change the way you've always done things. It's about confusing output-centric measures of progress with real measures of value. To get out of the build trap, you need to look at the entire company, not just at the development team. Are you optimizing your organization to continually produce value? Are you set up to grow and sustain products as a company? This is what a product-led organization does. In this book, I go into detail on how you can set up a product management organization to look for opportunities that maximize business and customer value. We start with the role of the product manager and how to create a structure that scales well. Then we dive into how strategy supports this role and how the product team should work to achieve that strategy. And finally, we talk about how the organization can set up its policies, culture, and reward systems to sustain this. Ultimately, this book provides you with a guide to get out of the build trap by becoming a product-led organization. But first, Let's go over how the build trap emerges and what signs you need to look out for. The first one is the misconception of value. 1. The value exchange.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?